Okay, thanks, Julie. So hopefully if you weren't with us Monday, you got a chance to watch Monday's recording and are all caught up on what we discussed on Monday, so we can hit the ground running today. Some housekeeping. How did you guys fare with the assignments to orient yourself for the platform? I'm seeing nods, but on our platform, it only looks like Letitia's the only one that was able to kind of click off on things. So go ahead, Lisa.
I have a question. So I posted a couple things and then it said reply to someone else, and there was no other postings until just now today. Christopher and Letitia did, like I said, like, hi, where's everybody? I'm in Tallahassee. And so I didn't know, I was gonna almost email Katie and say, did I do something wrong? Am I in there? Because I can see, like, I clicked off. So does it show that I did that on your end?
Katie, I'll pass that question to you.
So it didn't show, it showed that that many of you agreed to the forms, but then the navigation, it didn't show as many. So let me, during this call, I will check into that. But Lisa, you said you did do it, so it should show you as completed.
It shows my welcome and terms completed. And then the other one says in progress, but that was like, I couldn't, there was no one to reply to. Is it like a time limit? Like
oh yeah, that makes sense. So I think that it just, everyone's still orienting themselves. So go ahead, if you want to just click reply that you did it, just so you know.
Okay, and is it fair that, like, if everyone else is kind of doing this, because I am learning this, but like you kind of have to click a lot, a little, it'll say start assignment, you got to click that a few different times. Okay.
Not a
few. No, the way you nodded, I felt like, yeah.
No, you should have, I mean, you do have a lot to click on, but you shouldn't have to click on start assignment. You should be able to just click on it one time.
Well, I guess that was kind of the thing, because then when I downloaded, like I saw the icebreaker, the launch planning, all that, and then it says start assignment again. So I clicked that, and then I went to see your slideshow, right? But I had seen all that. I didn't really have anything. I just kind of reviewed it. And then it, see, now I can see I can click on reply to someone else's and submit. I guess I'm good then.
Okay.
Right, Katie will tell us by the end of the call.
I'll take a look at it in just a second, Lisa.
Oh, see, and then it crossed itself off on the blue.
Yep.
So, okay.
When it does that little cross off thing, that's when it like tells the system that, you know, the student has completed it. And so once you get through the entire list, it'll show on my end that you're done.
Next lesson, it says I can do that. Okay.
So, and that's exactly the reason why we have these. The first ones is so you get familiar with the platform. So
good, thank you.
Yeah.
Sarah, you had a question?
Yeah, I was actually having trouble with my profile. I was trying to fill it out, and it said, so I'd filled it out 3 different times, and it said saved every time, but then I went to look at it and it wasn't actually there. I in the website, I messaged Katie, but I'm not sure if you get notifications for that. But I wasn't sure if I was doing something wrong or like what I was doing.
Yeah, my guess is that it actually is in there, that maybe it wasn't, that your browser just wasn't showing it. Let me take a look at that too. And I will get back to you on that one very soon, Sarah. So I'm going to do this while Wanda keeps this going, but I'll let everyone know.
And Nadine had a question as well.
Yeah, sorry, I was figuring out what I did wrong. So I figured my camera was not in the proper place. The 5 and 10, I did the intake form and I did it several times. So I don't know, every time I pull it back up, it's empty, even though I wrote everything. So
wait, which one are you talking about? The intake form?
It says 10 and 5 intake form, right? And then it has my email, and then it asks your company name, it asks you to list the founder, blah, blah, blah. And when I say submit, when I come, the form comes back again, it's empty.
It should be submitted. I'll let JB
So
check
I
it
didn't
out.
know. So I said, okay, let me just ask. And then I get in between phone calls. So
I'll say it one more time. So which one was it?
Her intake
10
form?
and 5 participant intake form. Every time I submit it,
Okay,
I don't know if it's user operator error on my part.
No, okay. Well, let me go check it out and then I'll follow up with a private message to you.
Okay, no problem.
All right, Inez. I always butcher your name. Sorry, I've been saying it wrong for so long.
Okay. Something similar. I filled out the intake form yesterday, and then today I had trouble uploading my my logo, and then today I had to like do it all over again, and I still had trouble uploading my logo.
So yeah, I saw your message about the size of that it said that it was too large. So I had set that to what I thought was going to be a pretty reasonable limit. I'm going to double check on those limits.
Or maybe there's a way for me to shrink it. I'm just not tech savvy.
No, that's absolutely fine. That's where I was going with that. And then because it's always nice to have a logo that's easy to email and that's in the right format. If you need me to help you export it into some different formats so it's easier for you in smaller sizes, I can do that. So do you want to just email me at katie@10and5.org and email me your logo, and I'll check it out.
But in
All
the
right,
meantime, I'm sorry. In the meantime, if you email me your logo, I'll save it to your file as well, so that I can use that for all the promotional stuff and all of the things that we're going to use to promote, so that I have it. Okay. You're on mute.
Can I ask a logo question? Is that something we'll get to later? Because I have files and there's ways I've tried to use them. I think I was able to upload mine, but like in my signature line on emails, different things. Are you guys able to help us with that as we progress?
I can help you with some of that. But in terms of like email signatures, that's probably not the best. But definitely with changing it to smaller file sizes and things like that, I can help you with that. So
thank you.
Marnisha, and then Sarah, and then Nadine.
Hi, I've actually, excuse my voice, I'm not feeling the best, but I've tried to, I'm having trouble with my password getting into the actual site. It sends me the email link. It sends me the email link, but it won't let me reset the password. So I need to reach out to someone to do that.
Marnisha, I will send you a password, and we'll get you all squared away. I'll actually do it while we're doing this class, and you know how to use the chat feature, right? I'll send you your new password in about 10 minutes through the chat feature just to you, and then you can use that with your email and just sign right in.
All right, Sarah.
I was just wondering, is it best to message you guys on the website or to email you if we have a question?
So if you email on the website, Katie is going to be the one that will respond quickest to that one. Now, if you use info@10and5 or JB@10and5, I check those come directly to me. And so if I get those, and if there's like a tech issue, I can push those out. So really it's to your discretion, whatever platform that you're on, because there's someone that's on them that can answer the question or send you to the correct person.
So Sarah, I just looked at your profile and it does not look like that was saved. JB and I are gonna make a little video of how to update your profile, and you can follow along to that. We'll send that out in the next couple of days. And if it still doesn't work at that point, then you and I can hop on a Zoom or on a phone call and we can figure it out together, because it should be working for you. So I just want to make sure that we troubleshoot together.
It was just weird because it kept saying changes saved and then there was nothing. So I wasn't sure if it was my probably.
Yeah, and it could be the site. And if it is, maybe we'll do a Zoom and you'll show me and I'll say that is the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. And Nell is our expert. So I'm like kind of the first level, but Nella's above me. So if the site's doing something really crazy, we'll ask her and she'll jump in. But let's see if you and I can figure it out together first.
Thank you.
All right, and I think we have one last question from Nadine.
Sorry, unmuting. Okay. My question is this, Mike, I own 2 companies, but the company that I want to use for the product that I want to disperse out, I had a logo for it a long time ago. And then I always get different, I've changed it 3 or 4 times. So the thing is that it doesn't really matter to me because it never brought business by using a logo. So I wanted to know, should I just start a completely new logo or just use one of the old 3s that I had? That's my question. Or does it matter to you?
I think you can use whatever to start. A lot of people, especially as we go through the process of this program, change their brand identity. So if you just have a placeholder for now and then it changes as we go through it, that's totally fine.
All right, that's what I want to know. Okay, thank you.
All righty, I think we got all our questions. All righty, that was awesome. A couple other housekeeping things. Everyone has not signed the agreements. And so the way we're going to do it is today will be the last time that you can participate if you have not signed the agreements of participation and confidentiality, for the simple fact, as we start sharing, I want to create a safe space for everyone in the program. And so if you're not comfortable in terms of confidentiality, that's fine, but we'll take that as a sign that you no longer want to participate in the program and you'll be barred from participating starting with Monday's cohort. And that's just so that everyone can feel free in sharing their ideas and we're kind of scoping them together. And so, and that commitment participation is also in it too. So please make sure you guys do that. Today's conversation, we're going to dive into the problem you're trying to solve, but I want you to be mindful because everyone on here has not signed a confidentiality agreement. We're going to separate talking about the problem you're solving and your solution. So we will not talk about solutions today because of the space that we are in and everyone on here. We're just going to talk about the problem that you're trying to solve and unpacking what that is, right? And so Monday, when we get together, we can do a deeper dive into more information, but be mindful of the space that we're in, because then it'll be weird trying to separate those who haven't signed and put them in a separate room and trying to do our breakout rooms and stuff. And so just to keep the simplicity of it, we're just going to be mindful in how we talk about things to keep things moving. Sylvia, you had a question.
Yes, can you email us if we haven't signed? Because I know I've signed. I just want to make sure there's no hiccups, okay?
Awesome, we'll do. Nadine?
Yes, I was just going to say, maybe I don't know what I was doing correctly, but I thought I was going to sign the confidentially, but I don't see how to make that jump. Can you maybe spend 2 minutes and just say, this is where you go, boom, and then we can do it while we're here? Or is that too much?
Do you have it up to screen share or?
Sure, I think I can do it. Let me. And Sylvia, we do have you as marked off as having completed it. Just a. Okay, so give me just a second, and then. All right, here we go. All right, so you go to, when you log in initially, you're going to go to dashboard. Can everyone see my screen here?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go to dashboard. And then there will be these 2 different courses. So you're going to go with welcome and terms. And then it gives you, if you click on the first one, it'll say start assignment. And then you agree to the terms by clicking on this right here. I already did it, so let me show you the next one so you can watch it in action. So this is terms of confidentiality. And if you can read all the information down here. And then you start assignment. And you agree to the terms, and then you submit assignment. That's all they have to do, correct, Wanda? They don't have to, yeah. And then I'll give you a congrats, you've completed it.
Mine doesn't say that. I'm wondering, hello?
What, can I ask what yours?
Mine says 10 and 5, home, about, events, apply, contact. There is no dashboard. What I'm
Aha,
looking at.
okay, so,
No dashboard means you're not signed in.
that means she's not added to edit, or it's not working for her. Okay, let me troubleshoot that for you really
Right,
quickly.
if you could, because it said I only have three chances.
No, so what happens is you have to be, we have certain things that are restricted. So if you're in the edit program, you see it when you log in, and for some reason yours is not showing up. The new menu items aren't showing up, but I'm gonna look at that, and hopefully we will have you sorted out in just a couple minutes. So hang
Okay,
on.
no problem.
All righty. I know it's a little tedious, but getting these housekeeping things are important so everyone can have access to the information. As like we said, the course site is going to be really our way of kind of guiding our interactions with disseminating information, you communicating with each other, with us. So it's really important that we spent this time to make sure that everyone, we answer some of these questions. And the reason I wanted to make sure we do this together, because you might have a question that someone else has the same question. And so to save you, and us 10 emails later, we're kind of answering it all in one space. So all right, so without further ado, we're gonna jump into our conversation today, our materials for the day, so to speak. So on Monday, we spent some time kind of thinking about you guys and your schedules. So now we're gonna start really unpacking the problem. And so one of the things I always tell entrepreneurs is that you have to in fact, we're passionate about entrepreneurs that spend their time focusing on the problem before more so than the solution. In fact, when you think about companies, think about the companies that have been around like for a really long time, like Coca-Cola, or I'm gonna name another company that's been around for a really long time. What they have done is constantly reinvent themselves to fit the needs of the time. And you do that by honing in on the problem. Because if you say, my solution is a typewriter, right? As things evolve, your solution is no longer relevant in certain spaces, right? But if you're married to the problem, you're going to see the need before a lot of other spaces. And so you'll be evolving with your sector if you stay married to the problem and not the solution. And so what we're going to do today is spend some time diving in the problem. And so in design thinking that we're going to start a little bit later, we have a whole segment focusing on unpacking the problem. But before we get in that, one of the things that I often find is entrepreneurs struggle within the problem statement. And so because oftentimes we're new to these spaces, or the idea is we have to tell our story to tell the problem that we're trying to solve. And what I really want you guys to be able to do by the end of today's class is to be able to tell your problem that you're solving in one succinct sentence, your problem statement. And so we want to dissect what that problem statement looks like and what are the parts of it so people can actually get it, right? Without you having to give a 10-minute story, because that's going to be really important, especially when we come into elevator pitches and all this other stuff. It's really about shrinking it so I get it in that 1 to 2 minute time frame. I want to be able to understand, right? So the thing that we start off with is the what and the why, right? So when we talk about problems, oftentimes we don't think about the parts of a problem, but problems have, conditions, right? And so when we start thinking about a problem statement, the first thing we have to assess is what is true right now before you start, right? If you don't understand what's true, like I created an umbrella okay, but what was true right now that you created that umbrella, right? Like, why? Like, am I, you know, where are you? Where's the customer? What is the situation that warrants the creation of this umbrella, right? Like, so what is the condition right now if nothing else is done, right? And so the example we use is Jim can't read, right? Like that's all we know. Like, that is what's true right now, right? And the second part of a problem, by the way, we're going to do things a little different. So as we're going through this, I want you guys to kind of, think through these, because after this, we're going to break them down for your own problems. So instead of kind of waiting to the end that we do it, we're going to unpack these things for our business ideas, our problems early on. So the condition that's true right now is Jim can't read, right? But then when we have a truth, right? We have a true now, but what is the vision, right? How would we like things to be, right? This is your vision of an ideal future. In creating this vision, think about your personal experience, insights, and view of reality. So, right. So I always tell people, in a hypothetical world of rainbows and bunnies, right, without these life restrictions, what is that ideal scenario look like, right? And that is the vision. So for Jim's vision is Jim wants to be able to read street signs, the newspapers, stories to his children, and write a novel, right? That is his vision, right? But remember the condition that's true right now. Jim can't read. So true now, Jim can't read. The vision, Jim wants to be able to read street signs, the newspaper, stories to his children, and write a novel, right? So we can start to see the problem, right? So the problem is the gap between what's true now and what we would like. The problem is a recognition of your vision doesn't match the current conditions, right? So Jim can't read and he wants to write a great American novel, right? That's kind of an ocean between the condition and the vision. And what we do as entrepreneurs as problem solvers, right? Because again, you don't have a business if you're not solving a problem. As problem solvers, we spend our time in what's called creative tension. Creative tension is the process of filling in the distance between the condition and the vision, right? And so what I want us to kind of think through is those parts for our business, our problem statement, right? So I want you to take a minute and write down what is true right now. What is your condition? And then I want you to think about what is the vision? How will you like things to be? And just pause with those two. I'll give you a minute or two to think through that. And I know this example can seem very trivial, but it's to make sure you get it. And I know for yours, it might seem a little harder to unpack, and we're going to get there. I just want you to take a stab at it, to just really kind of think of, what is the problem you're trying to, what is the condition and the vision? All right. Thumbs up if we're feeling good about condition and vision. All right, I saw one. I see some thoughts still happening, so I'm gonna give you another minute. All right, I'm seeing more thumbs up. All right, so we have our condition. What's true right now? We have our vision. How would we like things to be? And now we're thinking about that ocean, that space in between, that gap, right? What is the gap between what's true now and what would you like? And for some people, it might simply just be, as our example, Jim can't read and wants to write the great American novel. Now we can flesh that out, right? But that example is so simple that the problem piece in between isn't very complicated. Like anyone can see, well, yeah, he had a problem. Can't write a novel if you can't read, right? But for some of you guys, I want you to put a little more effort instead of just putting the condition and vision together, but kind of fleshing out, getting, you know, some descriptive terms in terms of why that gap, what that gap really is between the condition and that vision. Oops. Sorry, I'm in the wrong direction. All right, who wants to share? Go ahead, Lisa.
If I've got it right, I think so. My work is clutter clearing mostly, right? Personal concierge. And what I see is the condition now is most people have a cluttered area in their home, at least one that negatively affects their life somehow. That's, I think, true for any of my clients or in the world, right? And so then to me, the problem is, well, my vision, of course, is to help them feel better. Clean
You
that
said
up.
your vision is to help them feel better?
Right, to help people where they're at feel better in their space.
Okay.
And so the problem is that people don't know where to begin. They don't know how, they don't know who to call, they don't know how to effectively declutter whatever that space is that's negatively impacting them.
Okay, give me a little more on the vision, because when you say feel better, I'm not exactly sure if I have a clear picture of what that ideal future looks like. So if they did not have this clutter.
Right. I guess, well, that's where it's like empowering people, right? It sounds to me kind of like, oh, Pollyanna, but it's like I want to empower people and help them clear their clutter so they can be comfortable, so they can gain time, relieve stress, relieve overwhelm.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I mean, that's
no, you're heading the right direction.
That's the vision. But I see the problem repeatedly is people don't know where to start. They don't know how to start. It's overwhelming. They don't even want to start because they don't know what to do next.
Okay.
That part. The problem, I kind of think I got the vision is hard to articulate.
Okay, that's what we're going to work on. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit some breakout rooms real quickly and see if we can dissect these a little bit more for each other and then come back together. So if you guys, I'll give you another minute in case you're still writing down some of these descriptions before we go into a breakout room. It's just condition, vision, problem, and you don't really need to focus on the creative tension because that's essentially what we're doing in here is addressing that creative tension. So if you have that, we're gonna open up.
Give me 1 second.
No worries.
All right.
All righty. Breakout rooms are now open. Please join.
Where would you like me to go?
Go
What
to
about
room.
room 1?
Yeah, go to, can you do it or you want me to do it for you?
Yeah, I can go to room 1.
Okay.
I see it today.
Okay. JB, you want 2 or 3?
Actually, how long do you, before we move over, how long do you want them in the rooms?
We could say 15, and if it takes less than that, we can come back over.
Okay, so about 7:20. Okay. I'll go to the second one.
Okay, somebody left the second room.
Um,
I don't know who left. Oh, Conrad left. Okay. All right.
okay, so actually what I'll do is
if you go to the second room and say he like needs to add it back in, does it still show you that? Or would you have to stay in this main room if someone else rejoins?
no, I should still be able to see, I believe.
Okay. Okay. All right. So then I'll go to room 3.
Okay.
Yeah. Why didn't I move? Let's try this again. All righty, welcome back, welcome back. How do we do? We feel like we got some progress with our problem statements?
Yes,
Awesome.
I did.
Awesome, awesome. And these will change, right? Like as we, the thing about a problem statement, it gives us a base to start. And as we test, so think about it kind of, you know, remember, take it back to scientific method, you got to test your hypothesis, right? And so we have a whole lot more to learn and discover, right? So I in the room that I was in, I was talking to them about, you know, what we know, right? So we know the condition, we know the vision, and we're trying to work through the problem, right? And the questions we have to ask ourselves is the how. How are we going to get from the condition to the vision, right? And that is the creative tension that we talked about, that how. But the issue we have right now is we don't have enough information to answer that, right? And that is the whole, and that's what we're going to get into design thinking, because it's giving us that information to answer so we can know that, right? So if we say Jim can't read and he wants to do all these things, it's easy to say like, okay, I want everybody to chime in. What do we think is some solutions that we could implement to help us with our problem? Jim can't read and wants to write the great American novel. What are some solutions we can put into place? Just off the top of your head with just that information right there. Anybody? Sarah, go
Jim
ahead.
needs a ghostwriter.
Hooked on phonics.
Hooked on phonics? What'd you say, Lisa?
He needs a ghostwriter.
A ghostwriter? What else?
No, I think he would need a recorder, because he can record his words. There's things that can record and type for you. Speech recognition software.
Okay.
That would solve his problem. He could.
Okay. I see also Marnisha has in the chat, allowing tutoring subscriber. Okay. So let me throw a monkey wrench at you. What if, when we talked about hooked on phonics, what if Jim's issue is he's blind? Or what if the issue is Jim is a 15-year-old golden terrier, right? The issue that we have is we don't know anything about Jim. And so how are we going to help Jim solve this problem for Jim if we don't know anything about him, right? Jim could be my pet python for all you know what I mean? And so we're going to like spend a lot of time and energy solving a problem that is completely irrelevant to Jim right now, right? And so these are the things that you have to think about. As silly as those examples are, you'll be amazed how many millions of dollars are wasted by companies every year solving a problem that, or attempting to solve a problem that does not meet the needs of their customers because they don't know anything about them, right? And so this is why it's really important to, you know, answer some of these questions, right? And so that's what we're going to get into next, is some of the questions, right? So some of the initial questions you'll start to ask is, why do you think the problem even exists? Like, why do we think Jim can't read, right? And if we don't know, this is where we have to do some digging. What's happening, right? Is it that, you know, what's happening and when is it happening? Is it Jim can't read because he's sitting in the dark? So it's only a problem when he's sitting in the dark, and is a solution just flipping on a light switch, right? Do our condition or do our problems only exist in a finite time and space, right? And so those are things that very much factor in to how we create a solution, right? Who is involved? What if like I have my hands over Jim's eyes, right? You know what I mean? That's a whole different problem, right? That requires a whole different kind of situation. Why is this happening, right? And so these are all the questions, or this is just the start of some of the questions that we need to ask before we even think about the solution. We can't get to that vision from the condition if we don't start asking some of these questions. And so it becomes very important that we unpack what's really happening with Jim at this moment. Otherwise, we're going to waste a lot of time and energy running down in the wrong direction, solving a problem that never really existed because we never understood it in the first place. Does that make sense? Okay. So I got to hop around between rooms, and you guys came up with some really amazing problems. Some of you came up with multiple problems. And so I want to make a mention of that before we move on. If you were thinking through your problem statement, let me go back. And as you went through your problem statement, you mentioned multiple conditions, multiple visions, or multiple things that impact that gap, I want you to separate that out and write those into multiple problem statements. And this is important because what we're going to do in our exploration is figure out which of those problems are even problems you can solve, right? There are some problems we cannot address. We do not have the capacity. Technology hasn't evolved to that point yet, etc. Right? And so we want to be able to understand, like, okay, I'm actually identified 3 problem statements, right? But in launching my business, I will focus on one. And this is really important because you want to be able to test each piece one by one. So if something fails, you know when it failed and why it failed, right? And not to say you can't, your business doesn't address all of these. You want to be able to unpack them. So you can say, hey, if I'm talking to the person that cares about this, I know why they care about it. I know what condition is true for them. And I know the vision of where they're trying to get to. If I'm talking to a person that cares about another aspect of this problem, I know what condition is true for them. I know the vision they're trying to get to and the problems they have to overcome, right? And so it's not to say that your solution can't address these things, but you want to be careful when you're launching a business, how many problems you're trying to solve at once, because you take on too much and you jam them all together. When customers are having issues or when things go south, you can't unpack them because they're all raveled together, right? And so you want to be very smart from the very beginning, give each one of them, and even if they're 10, right? You come up with 10 different problem statements, that's okay. But in doing that, you might realize really only the first 3 are anything that I have capacity or resources to do anything about. And maybe only the first 1 I can do coming out of the gate. And so those are the things that we're going to be looking to do. And so I want you guys, and I think this is part of your assignment, is to be able to, 1, create that problem statement, and also answer these identifying questions about your problem as you know it now. And I know for some of you, you still are unpacking things and you might not have all the answers. That is okay, right? This is an evolutionary process. So write it for what you see it and as it is now. And as it changes, right, then we make the changes necessary. So what the danger that happens is we live in an information age, right? And so as you guys go doing your market research and customer discovery, you're going to get a lot of information coming at you. And it's really easy to get lost in what's the problem I'm trying to solve again, right? And so you want something to ground you so you can test your own hypothesis and say, well, maybe this isn't exactly what my problem is, but I might need to tweak it in this particular manner, right? And so having a grounding statement from the very beginning gives you a solid foundation to launch from and to build from, and then you have a way to continue to iterate on it. So are we good so far with this? I'm seeing some nods. Okay. All right. So the next thing that we're going to do, we're going to go back into some breakout room and we're going to dig in a little deeper. So in groups of, I'm not quite sure, are we groups of 3? Is that, yeah, I think it still be groups of 3. Each participant, and these times will be shifted because I think we've done some good job of talking about it. So we'll shift the times accordingly. But in groups of 3, I want you to describe the problem you like to address. Again, we talked about at the very beginning, not your solution, not what you're going to create, not the thing that you've been dreaming about. We'll get to that. I want you to put that on the shelf for now, right? And focus on that problem. So I want you to describe the problem you're trying to create and that you're trying to address. Sorry, not create. The problem you're trying to address. Who will be the main user, right? Who's the person, and this is actually poorly stated, who is the person that is the most affected by this problem? Now I'm going to tell you really quickly, one of my biggest pet peeve is when I ask someone, who is your customer? And they say, everyone. Everyone is not your customer. And that is a way that gets me twitching when I hear everyone is your customer, because you can't tell me a grandmother in Russia and a newborn baby are your customer. They have different needs and different resources and different everything, right? And so I want you, as best as you can, to narrow in who has this problem, right? The problem that you're describing, who has that problem, right? And what do they have to gain by like using anything, by gain, sorry, I hate the way this question is stated and I need to do a better job of rewording, but what do they have to gain by having this problem solved? Because we all have problems, right? But all the problems we have, we're not always willing to get a solution for it. Case in point, gloves. I hate buying gloves because I always lose them and I always end up with one glove. And so lazy me, when it gets cold, I just put socks on my hands. It's a problem. I created my own solution. It's ghetto, but I don't care. My hands are warm, right? Now, am I your customer if you have a new line of gloves? Maybe, maybe not, because I found a solution to my problem. Now you're gonna somehow convince me that my solution, your solution is better than the one I've created, right? Because right now I have a problem that I don't really have much to gain to create another solution for it, right? So what is the problem you're addressing? Who is affected by this problem? And what do they have to gain by using a solution that vision that you're talking about? What do they have to gain by investing into that vision, right? We're going to go into groups and you guys are we're going to be in the rooms with you, but I want you guys to do like really work on each other. Like we are our support team. Like I said, a lot of us are solopreneurs in here. And so we really want like you, honestly, a lot of you in here are ideal customers for each other products. So really think about these questions and think about the things that your cohort members are saying from the perspective of, is that a problem I care about? Everyone isn't your customer, and that's okay. So it might not be a problem they care about, but if it is, why or why not, right? What is it that I have to gain by investing into a solution for this problem, right? Like I want you guys to really help drive each other. We do things in kindness, right? So this isn't Shark Tank. We're not here to pounce on each other, but really push each other to like get a better understanding of that problem, right? We're good? We ready for breakout rooms? Mm-hmm. All right, we're going back in. JB, you have a preference on a room?
I do not.
All right.
Well, I was just in one with Nadine, so actually I'll go to the room 3.
Okay, now I'll go to 2. It's all good, Chris. I want you to finish. I'm gonna make you finish.
That was fun. Do it, Chris. Do it.
You can do it, Chris. We're in great breakout. Go.
Okay. So they'll have access to new experiences within their city. I guess long story short.
Okay.
Like 16 to 65-year-olds looking for talent, services, restaurants from creators and audiences.
Okay. We're going to work on it some more, but I want you to write down at least what you've said so far, so we have a starting point for refinement.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All righty. And how did everybody else do? Atisha, you laughing? It was fun?
Yes, I have work to do though. But it was good.
So Lisa
progress.
mentioned something on the call that I forgot to mention. She was like, "You're making my head itch." And I was like, "Yeah, we do that." So this is the stage where we're going to force you to think about your business in ways where most entrepreneurs often don't, because we get in go mode and we grinding, but it's like, why are you doing that? I don't know. I'm just doing stuff. Like, as entrepreneurs, you spend a lot of time throwing paint at the wall. And what I really want to spend some time here is why? Like, I'm going to be that annoying toddler. I'm going to keep asking you why until it makes sense, right? Until you can really just pick apart those pieces that are not necessarily that you're doing out of habit, and the things that are essential to your business, right? And those things are going to make sense to your customer. So I do it in love and really to grow you, but I will get on your nerves, and that's okay, right? Like, don't hate me, but this is not personal about you. This is not that I don't think your business idea is amazing, but I wanted to get you to the point that when you get up before other potential customers, investors, whoever, you know your whys to every piece of your business. So far, so good? All right. I know we're running low on time, but we're gonna power through the rest of this. And let me share my screen again. Share. All right, there we go. All right, so one of the things that we always ask, and then this is kind of what we were doing, does it make sense for who, why not? What's the proof? What's the supporting evidence? What's the current context? And that was kind of the stuff I was explaining before. Certain things make sense, or the problems that we're addressing only happens in particular windows, right? And so, like, is it, I think Sylvia was addressing the issue of food desert, right? Is it always a food desert, or does my customer base is in California and we're in a food desert only certain times of the year, right? And that's kind of a funky example because food desert is a food desert, but that's a whole nother thing. But anyway, right? And so if you kind of think about what are the conditions, right, that your problem exists, right? And what are the things that impact that problem in existing, you know what I'm saying? Those are the things that we really want to be able to hold on. And what's the proof? Because sometimes we see a problem like that actually doesn't exist, and we don't really have, we've imagined problems for our audiences, our communities, right? And so how can you, what evidence do you have that supports that the problem exists the way you have explained it, right? Because, and again, remember the Jim can't read, and we were like, oh, here's some solutions, and those solutions were based upon our assumptions of why that problem exists. That might not necessarily be true. It really just depends on what Jim has going on, right? And who Jim or what Jim is, right? Because if Jim is my stuffed pig and he can't read, that's a whole different problem that requires a whole different set of solutions. So, quick exercise. Look at this picture and tell me what you see. Well, I'm sorry, but not tell me what you see. Look at this picture and tell me who lives here. Describe the person or persons that live here. Tell me what you see about them. Talk to me.
Their grass is kind of high.
So their grass is kind of high. What does that tell you about them?
Maybe they're away.
Okay, what else?
I see potted plants, and maybe they're trying to grow their own food.
Okay. They might be into growing their own food. What else?
Compost bin. Mhm.
Compost bin. You know, someone had to point that out to me because I don't think I knew what a compost bin looked like.
I have one exactly like that. It's so funny. I'm
Right,
like,
it's
oh.
right here. It's that green thing where the other little
Yeah.
thing. the
No, I
white
know
one.
that now, but I used this picture for years before I knew that.
Okay.
This looks like, to me, this looks like someone who has good intentions to do different things, but just doesn't have time.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I say that because, again, like someone mentioned, the grass is high. They have the potted plants, but they don't look like they're growing much. The table
Okay.
isn't necessarily clean. You
Okay.
know,
Okay.
Yeah, they're smokers maybe, because I see an
Yeah.
ashtray.
Two people,
Two people, yeah.
right? Two chairs, 2 bikes, no kids,
Right.
doesn't look like kids.
Yeah, they have
Right.
good intentions, but it just like seems like they just don't have time.
Okay.
Oh, I see the
Marnisha
2
mentioned
bikes.
that
I'm
they
like,
might
how do
be
you
a
see 2
gardener.
bikes?
Say it again.
At first I said, how do you see 2 bikes? And now I see one laying on the floor. I get it.
Mhm. Yep. Marnisha mentioned they might be a gardener. She also pointed out the compost bin in the text. What else?
They're outside person. This person likes to be outside because of their bike. You could tell they probably cycle or something. There's a barbecue grill, so they
Right, the
like to
Weber
be
grill.
outside.
Okay.
Yeah, so it looks like they're an outside person. They just
Okay.
like to be outside in the elements.
Okay. Anything
Looks
else?
like they have varying interests, but maybe don't fully follow through on every one of them. Like they'll start
Interesting.
something, maybe not finish it.
Interesting.
Maybe.
That's very interesting.
What
Okay.
is the tower on the side, that brown by the grill?
Ah,
Is that
That's like a
plant?
peat moss. It's like probably they maybe grow strawberries in it or something that grows.
And those usually are for plants, but that's why I thought that, because it looks like they put it up and never actually planted anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
That
They're
there's
bird lovers because they have that little bird thing right here in the corner.
What
Okay.
kind of gnome? The little
That
gnome
little
in the
bird
bush.
house.
Oh yeah, the little gnome sitting there.
So there's a birdhouse. to
Yep,
the-
I see the
It's
birdhouse
cute.
in the corner.
There's
So
this,
they're busy. I think they're too busy to tend to their yard.
Okay.
there's something sitting on this front chair. It looks
Mhm.
red with the green thing that I can't figure out what that is, but I feel like
Right.
it might be significant.
Okay.
I think they're very private because they have a fence inside of a fence, it looks like.
Okay.
No, I think the fences belong to different locations. I think the taller fence belongs to the house that
The
has
neighbor.
Right, the neighbor. Theirs is definitely this little lower one.
Okay. Okay. These are all good. Good. So I have no clue. This is a random picture I found. I don't know who lived here either. But
It's not your yard, Wanda. Come on.
the purpose of this exercise is we all look at this picture based upon our own experiences, our own bias, and our own, we bring all of this when
Perspective.
we interact with people and when we just view a picture, right? And so Lisa, you recognize the compost bin immediately because of your own experience of composting, right? Sarah, you noticed the brown thing on the side that nobody else knew. Is like they don't even have a plan in there. So they have good intentions, but no follow through, right? And so we were able to pull things based off of just what we saw and how our own experiences fed into those, right? When you're thinking about your business and when you're thinking about the problems, you bring all of that to it. And that's okay, right? I don't want you to kind of think like, you got to like put that in a box. You bring yourself and your full experience and your full identity into building your business, but you want to be able to identify those biases up front. And just like our hypothesis of our problems, you need to be able to step out of your own way to be able to then evaluate of those biases, of the way you are looking at things, what's true for your customer. So not the problem how you see it, but the problem how your customer sees it, right? Not the pieces of the problem that you think is important, but the pieces of the problem that your customer thinks is important. And so it's really about building that understanding of here's where I am and here's how I see things versus here's where my customer is coming from and here's how they see things, right? And even if you build your solution out of your own personal experience, even if you built it out of, I've seen other people go through this and this is how they see the problem, that is not enough, right? We need to really dig into our customers and what they're seeing and how they're seeing things to really grasp where our launch point is. And I want to mention a point. I know a couple of you are existing business owners, and you're either adding on a new piece of your business or revolving your business. You want to be really careful in thinking, I have a business, I know what to do, and I'm running. When you're thinking about launching a new segment of your business or evolving your business, I want you to come into this as with a clean slate as much as possible, because there might be aspect of your business that you have not been able to see because you've been so laser focused on how your business is designed and structured right now. And you can't take that thinking into the new aspects of it because you'll miss something. So you want to acknowledge, you understand the basics of business, right? Or you've been running a business, so you have some skills, but you have not ran the type of business that you're trying to build. You have not added this piece on before. So you're stepping into something new. So give yourself the grace and space to do that, and your business the space to grow like that, because you can become a blockade to your business very quickly by overlooking certain things. Or even when you interact with your customers, they say one thing and you hear another because you're filling in the blanks with your own experiences. And so you have to be very careful, regardless of what your journey is to this point, how you move forward in building out those pieces to your business. So for the sake of time, I'm going to skip over this exercise. This is normally kind of what you see. Do they look the same? And then we'll skip over that. That'll be in the do these lines look the same? Are the same distance? And our eyes play tricks on us. You can't help what you see because your brain is set up to see things a certain way. And so again, giving yourself the grace and space to understand that we have these unintentional biases that we bring into all of our experiences, and we all have them, and you don't want to deny them. You want to accept them and then build and grow from there, right? And you do that by adding new evidence, new research, more interactions with your customer to grow their knowledge base in that space, so you can start to see things differently, and so can your business. I always use this as an example. So back in 2010, great earthquake hit Haiti. Red Cross raised $5 million to build homes, and all that. They ended up building 6 homes, right? And everyone was like, oh my God, what happened?
500 million, you mean?
Red Cross had been in the business of disaster recovery for years. So Red Cross had provided shelter. Red Cross had provided food. Red Cross had never rebuilt a city before. And so they were out of their space and were asking the wrong questions. And there was a lot of economic decisions that were made improperly because they took their prior knowledge and experience and said, we've done this, surely we can do this, and they were wrong. And this is kind of on a greater scale, but we all do this in a lot of the things that we do. And so this is why it's really important about getting out of your own way. So one of the things that we look at is really understanding the facts, right? So doing a needs analysis, understanding, what is true. And that's why the conditions and the vision of our problem statements is really important, right? Before you go in there and on your cowboy to save the day for your customers, you need to know what's true for them right now. Do they even need saving? Do they care, right? Do they care enough to pay for a solution? So you check those temperatures out of that situation, understand the issue, and that is the square one. And that is the reason that we do a lot of the things that we do. So I love this little example of a man knocks on his neighbor's door. Hi, I noticed you painted your bedroom last month. And since we have similar houses, I thought I'd ask you how many cans of paint you bought. Sure thing, we bought 7 cans. Awesome, thanks. A few days later, the man knocks on his neighbor's door again, looking a bit ticked. Hello again, what's up? Well, the other day you told me you bought 7 cans of paint for your bedroom, right? Right, well, the whole room is painted and we have 3 cans left over. Oh, you too? What happened?
Right, what happened was that he said how many he bought, he didn't ask how many he used.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about asking the right question.
Get the facts.
The art of asking the right question, the practice of asking the right question is an art within itself. right? And that is something that you do not know from the very beginning, and you develop it as you go. So I meet entrepreneurs all the time that I need to start speaking to CEOs of companies because I need to sell my stuff to them. And no, don't start there, because you're going to get time with the wrong people and ask the wrong questions and miss out on an opportunity. You need to talk to the secretary, right? Because they're going to tell you like, yeah, but the question you need to be asking is X, Y, and Z. You need to talk to the gardener, the groundskeeper. You need to talk to people at ground zero that can give you the kind of information that you need to learn to ask the right questions. But the art of asking a question and understanding how our customers see a problem is all part of what the design thinking framework is about. And design thinking, and we'll go into it in a second, but it's really about understanding and unpacking these things, right? So understand, explore, and materialize, right? So part one of the design thinking is empathize. And that is where we spend a lot of time, right? Of understanding Jim. Who is Jim? Why does Jim have these problems? What does Jim care about? What is important to Jim? The more you know about Jim, the easier it is to get him to that vision, right? But I can't get Jim anywhere if I haven't taken the time to really be empathetic and see life the way Jim sees it, right? And then ideate. Then I start to bring about my great ideas of how I can help Jim, but I can't do that if I don't know the Jim, right? And even though I came in with some ideas of some, what some solutions might work, now I know more about Jim and I have some great ideas. Now I'm really in a space to really start building that prototype. But oftentimes we shortcut that process and we're like, I'm going to implement a solution right now, but we haven't done all the things, right? And so it's really important that we go through this process. I'm going to do a quick video on design thinking so you guys know. Okay. Why is it doing it? Okay, I won't do full screen. I will just share my screen so I don't waste any more time. Okay.
Design thinking is a 5-step process to come up with meaningful ideas that solve real problems for a particular group of people. The process is taught in top design and
Wanda, we lost the audio.
Yeah, we can't hear it.
we need to empathize with the
Can you hear now?
situation.
Sorry about
For
that.
example, if you want to help old people, you might find that they want to keep the ability to walk around. In your conversations, they might share with you different ways they can do that. Later into the interview, you'll want to dig a little deeper, look for personal stories or situations where things became difficult. Ideally, you redo the process with many people with the same problem. Step 2, define the problem. Looking at the interviews, you can now understand the actual needs that people are trying to fulfill with certain activities. One way to do that is to underline the verbs or activities that the people mentioned when talking about their problems, like going for a walk, meeting old friends for tea, or simply going grocery shopping around the corner store. You might realize it's not so much about going out, but more about staying in touch. After your analysis, formulate a problem statement. Some elderly are afraid to be lonely. They want to stay connected. Step 3, ideate. Now focus only on the problem statement and come up with ideas that solve the problem. The point is not to get a perfect idea, but rather to come up with many ideas, like unique virtual reality experiences, senior-friendly hoverboards, or a modified pushcart. Whatever it is, sketch up your best ideas and show them to the people you are trying to help, so you can get their feedback. Step 4, prototype. Now take a moment to reflect on what you have learned from your conversations about the different ideas. Ask yourself, how does your idea fit in the context of people's actual lives? Your solution could be a combination of a new idea and what is already being used. Then connect the dots, sketch up your final solution, and go build a real prototype that's just good enough to be tested. Step 5, test. Now test your prototype with actual users. Don't defend your idea in case people don't like it. The point is to learn what works and what didn't, so any feedback is great. Then go back to ideation or prototyping and apply your learning. Repeat the process until you have a prototype that works and solves the real problem. Now you are ready to change the world or open shop. To experience design thinking firsthand, do the free virtual design thinking crash course from Stanford's D School right now. You will learn to design a new gift-giving experience.
All right, we don't have to get into that, but I wanted you guys to kind of get a quick synopsis of what design thinking is, because this is the framing of the first 5 weeks of the program. Notice design thinking is a loop. Just because you might get to the next step in design thinking and realize you have to go back. And this is not a fail, this is a refinement, right? The more refinement we do, the better it is to build our business model around a solid product and idea, right? And so with every step, you're always constantly asking questions. And really remember, the goal here is to fail fast. If you ask these questions and you realize you're heading down the wrong path, you want to be able to pivot really quickly. And so these are the things that is our focus, right? And so with design thinking, our first focus is going to be on empathy. And so as they mentioned, like that interview process, so before you can get to interview people, we need to understand a little bit more about what they care about. And so one of the things, and I mentioned this early on to you guys, because I want you to start thinking about who your customers are. And we're going to talk about that because we're going to schedule some interviews as we go through. And I think by next week, we're going to be working on our interview questions. And I want you to start thinking about who can you reach out to interview, right? And regardless of the stage of your business, there's always someone that can give you insight, right? And so we're going to talk about the types of people you should all be talking to, but it's really important that you have these conversations. And even though you might have been doing some of these things for years, there are rocks you can still unturn. There's still gems that you can find by having these conversations. And so I want you to start making a list of who is it that you can reach out, because interviews, remember when we talked about, our time, right? An interview isn't just an interview. I got to make my list, right? Then I got to reach out to these people. Then I got to get on their schedule. Then I got to actually talk to them, right? And so we're talking about interviewing, 10 to 20 people, and that's actually on a really low number. How much time is that going to take, right? Is that going to be like 30-minute interviews, right? And so you want to make sure that you have time in your schedule, you can get on their schedule, because once we can't get on to the next step if you don't have those interviews done. And so that's going to be very important. And so you want to start thinking about how you can reach out. For some of you, some of your answers might be able to be solved via survey. And we don't always encourage surveys early on because it's really important for you to get some of those unstated things, right? There's something to be said about doing an interview, right? As people, we do a lot of our communication nonverbal. So I might be like, yeah, I like that. But all of that just told you a whole thing about me, right? In that response, as opposed to when you see the box check yes, right? Because when you see that reaction, it's like, so tell me more. Like, well, what was all of that, right? And you can start to pick that apart more, and you realize, well, I like it, but I don't really like it, right? And so there's ways that you can extract things out of people. So we want to really push these interviews either virtually or in person. And we understand some limitations. So if you have to do some surveys or some questionnaires, even as preliminary, that's okay. But we really want you to get some of that feedback. And for some of you with your innovations, I'm going to actually push your numbers a little higher to talk to more people, just because of the type of people that it affects. And so it's really going to be important that you guys think about this process, because this kind of gems people up, and you go on to defining a problem you don't really understand because you haven't talked to the right people. So that is, I skipped through a lot of stuff because I threw a lot at you guys today, and it was really no need to kind of, hone in on some pieces that was just driving home the same message. Do you have any questions for me so far? Go ahead, Lisa.
Somewhere I was reading last week about a mentor, and if you don't have a mentor, you better get one quick, kind of thing. Are there any requirements for a mentor? I have a gal that is a former administrative attorney at the governor's office here in Tallahassee. She's well-educated. She's owned a little boutique store with friends before, done some entrepreneurial stuff. Can I ask her? I mean, is there a requirement for it? Does she have to be in the same business, or what do you say?
No, so requirements for mentors, I wouldn't say requirements, but things to keep in.
Things to look for.
Things to look for is you want to think about what is it you're hoping to gain or learn out of that mentor-mentee real experience, right? And you want to be very clear, because what makes mentoring very frustrating sometimes is people don't know what they want, right?
Right.
Or they want you to hold their hands and build the business for them. That's not the role of a mentor. So you want to be very clear, what is the goal? What are you asking? When you reach out to mentors, and I think we talked about this at some point in time, but when you reach out to mentors, what is your ask? How long are you asking it for? What do you really want from me? Because I don't mind helping you out, but I got to know what you want. Like, are you going to be texting me, 24/7? I don't know about that, right?
Well,
to be very clear about your engagement, like, hey, when I'm asking for mentorship, would you mind for the next 6 months, I send you, an email once a week, or I can schedule a meeting with you once a month, whatever. Just be very clear of what that engagement is going to look like, so they know what they're signing up for. And people are much more likely to say yes and engage if they know what they're getting. Because think about it, like anybody come with you and they're asking stuff and they're not clear on the terms, you're going to find a reason to say no really quickly, because we're not trying to be a part of stuff and like get jammed up and your time is being consumed. And you know what I'm saying? But also make sure you're in a place to take action on whatever direction they give you. Some of you guys, you got to think about what stage you are in your business, right? And so depending upon the stage in your business, you might not want to reach out to like a mentor that's like has domain expertise on investing. You're not there yet, right?
Right. Well, like the note was, what will you share with them? An overview, a detailed plan. And so I'm fine to share everything with her. And I think what I want most from her at this stage is just a different perspective.
Okay.
Is that
and
fair?
Just make that clear, right? Just make that clear
exactly.
on what you want, why you're there, what is your goal, what is, and kind of think about like our problem statement, because you have a problem when you're reaching out to when you're reaching out to these mentees, you have a what's true right now, and you have a vision, right? And so what is the vision, right? If you did not have this, this condition, what is it you would be able to do, right? And that is your end goal that you're hoping to be able to achieve after your time of engaging with this mentor should be, right? So you want to be able to kind of think through those different pieces. Will we be provided a mentor for this program? Yes and no. We will have mentors that will come through that you will interact with. We will have some, not necessarily mentor, but some leadership development, some coaching built in. And it's really just helping you kind of get out of your own way. So we will have these people, and a lot of times, the mentors that come in to help you build out your business, a lot of them will make themselves available to you beyond the course, and because they understand the entrepreneurs that go through our program and their need. And so again, you have to be wise about what you want and what you need, because even though these people are making themselves available, we do not want to take advantage of their time. So yes, there will be, as we get further along, there will be some mentorship built in.
Thank you.
All righty. Any other questions?
In terms of the work that we are getting done for this day, I guess. So we finished the stuff on Monday, was that the first module, and then the second module is today that we start on for next Monday or for today?
Yeah, so it's every week we have 2 modules, right? And that module is the whole course. So it's the course material, it's the lecture, it's the assignment, all of that is the module. And so the assignments for today, you just want to have them completed before Monday, right? And the goal of that is so you don't fall behind. And because the class builds on itself, a lot of things that we'll talk about Monday will build on the assumption that you finished these modules and you have a clear understanding of all the things that we did today. The other advantage too of trying to get them done as soon as possible, Katie will be in there reviewing them and giving you feedback. And again, if you're building on these, especially like your problem statement and there are questions, you want to be able to get them in there so we can give you feedback before we're moving on to the next pieces. So, and that will help you refine it. So as we move on, it's like, okay, now we're going to jump into this other stuff. You have clarity on the piece you did before. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, so I just want to check to make sure. So
Yeah.
Today we finish, well, sorry, before Monday we finish week 1, module 2, and then on Monday we start week 2, module 3, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm not behind.
Yeah, sorry about that. We release the modules a week ahead of time for the simple fact. So some people, I know working with entrepreneurs that they, some of you guys don't always have a lot of time in your evenings. And so you try to fit in as much as possible on the weekend. So we release it. So for those who that is, you know, their schedule structure, that they can do that. But for those who, you know, just kind of want to stay on pace with the class, it's there. So we have a little flexibility.
Ask Sarah real quick, because she wasn't here Monday. What's her quick thing and what does she hope to get out of it? You know, like we did all the intros.
Oh yeah, so Sarah, on Monday we did an intro on, did you see the intro in the?
Yeah, I watched the video.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I have to remember what it was. What was the questions? It was, hi, I'm Sarah. I remember that. What was the first question?
What do you hope to get out of this? And what is the craziest thing if your hopes and expectations are met or something like that?
Okay, so what do I hope to get out of this? I have been working on a business idea for like the last year, but I really want to go back to the basics and build myself up again to make sure that I'm really thorough in what I'm doing and what I'm seeing and making sure that I'm targeting the right people and doing the right thing to target them. And then also the craziest thing that would happen is I could hold a functional MVP of my prototype, and that's something I wanted for a while, but there's been a lot of problems with trying to get that done. But that would be the craziest thing. It would be like holding my baby. So yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. All righty. Well, I think that is a wrap for the night, unless anyone has any more questions. All righty. Well, thank you guys. Have a good evening. JB will be sending like a wrap up for the week and some, you know, if any announcements, look out for that. But you have your assignments, have conversations in the forum. Any issues that you guys mentioned in the beginning that were not resolved during the class, you'll be getting a message either from JB or Katie. And if it's a severe issue that needs to be escalated, you might hear from Nell. So we have a whole team working behind the scenes to make sure you guys are moving along. You had a question, Ines?
Yeah, I was just on the dashboard. I'm sorry, and this could be something I could just email to JB. I'm having trouble finding the assignment.
Okay. Okay. Yep. They're going to create some tutorials just in case it's just something that you can't navigate. So if you follow the tutorials or I think Katie demoed it in the first video. So if you look at a video from Monday and you can't access it still, then reach out and then they'll problem shoot with you to see if there's something wrong with your account.
Sounds good.
All righty. Well, everyone have a wonderful evening. Thank you guys.
Bye. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.